Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the very first 2024 off-cycle election watch. And very interestingly, critically, we're looking at Edo State elections. Well, the people of Edo State have trooped out en masse today to decide who becomes their next governor. 4x4 was the leading rhetoric on the streets as Edo State voted in 2020. Of course, one couldn't but remember the Edo Nobi Lagos being popularly chanted by many electorates back in 2020. Now, it is another 4 years after the 2020 election, and these electorates are out on the streets either to vote Obaseki's candidate, Asue Ighodalo, or the National Ruling All Progressives Congress candidate, Senator Monday Okpebolo, or the similarly neutral Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party. Well, Edo State woke up this morning to a significantly huge security presence, and if I may quickly add as well, to rain coming to ease the tension of the elections. And it's equally important to talk about the logistics challenge of which the Umpire Electoral Commission, INEC, quickly had to swing into action, increasing their budgetary allocation in that regard to be able to meet the financial commitment required to get the elections underway. So far, so good. Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party, Senator Adams Oshiomhole have casted their votes at their various polling units. Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki, All Progressives Congress APC candidate, and Monday Okpebolo. That being said, let's begin. And I would like to begin with data, but very quickly, I'd very much like to start with the allegations of vote buying. Of course, the data will be reeled out in a moment. And I'd like to introduce to you, as I bring on the screen, my amazing and vivacious colleagues joining on the election watch this afternoon. Of course, you met them earlier with my colleague Segun Odoayo. And now also joining me are Aliyu Adekunle. He's the assistant editor, Punch Digital. Good to have you, Aliyu.
You're welcome.
Okay, equally, I have the man adorning the 50th anniversary cap of the Punch, much like we should still be in the spirit of celebration.
Of course, we are still in the spirit of celebration.
Daniel Anyotoye.
Thank you.
Also another amazing colleague. Now, very quickly, gentlemen, I believe it's a great start and a good talking point to look at the allegations of vote buying, to the extent that there's been some arrests in this regard. What do you make of it? Are you surprised? As our democracy got better, did we have so much time to plan off-cycle elections only to still be back at the same things we've always shouted and cried about?
Election is for the people to choose their own leaders, and a lot of things happen in election. So I'm not surprised that you still see some element of vote buying. Gradually, we are 10 minutes, but you see, we won't eradicate it once.
Are you sure we're 10 minutes?
We are 10 minutes.
Okay. It used to be a lot more than this?
It used to be a lot more than this. People is like what people really want to do. But now you see with reserve. I read now from some report that the EFCC, there was multiple arrests. Some people were saying when the EFCC stormed Benin, some areas where they arrested people, when they saw the EFCC, they went away. They run. They stopped sharing cash. Now, seeing the EFCC going onto this, it tells you that, look, we are serious about halting vote buying in the country.
That so we have our feet on the ground and we're ensuring this stops. However, recall 2020, there was the allegation of APC sharing 5K in Edo State, same Edo State election. The PDP sharing 5K, I mean, it was everywhere. Are we about the same corners of excessive monetizing of elections as against conscientious voting as we should have from the voters?
Yeah, I think for me, I would say that yes, we are not, I don't think, we are making progress though, but I don't think we are really taming anything. Because as it is, things is far more hard for people than before. And you would expect that issues of vote buying would definitely set in when it comes to the fact who is giving this and who is taking. And even see the situation we have now, we experienced what we had in 2023 general election. We are not in the general election now. We are having off-cycle, and we are having, of course, this kind of record and reports. And just imagine what it will be when we get to the general election. We may be having a tougher situation than we are at now. So we are not taming it. We are still within that situation. All I think is that the hard time.
If you don't mind,
yes.
The level of it is gradually reducing.
And that's because we are not in the general election.
See, like I said, the governor, the EFC itself, going to Edo with all full force, arresting people. 2 people have been arrested. They stormed Ego. They stormed one ward in I don't know which of the constituencies now. And the minute they saw the EFC guys, they packed their loads and stopped.
Of course, nobody will see the police.
But before now, it is done brazenly. People don't mind, even the police partaking in.
Arresting people does not, so, I believe strongly.
Listen, we can't eradicate it.
With technology,
okay,
are we able to argue that we got better with money sharing or the involvement of money in politics? Or did we only get smarter?
In the long run.
Do we need to share monies in paper form to really share money for election? Or are there other avenues? Because I was at an election ground in 2019. And I care to share this very carefully. These were part of the electorate at this election ground, were equally part of the people in my organization then, had sensitized particularly against vote buying. Guess what happened? The women saw me seated, because of course I was relaxing. I'd given a lot of reports on radio, and I was just relaxing. And right there, where I was, their sole campaigner against vote buying. One old woman was saying to the other person, who was like a party agent or something, like, in English, where are we told to come and take it? And of course, what are they told to come and take? Beans, rice? It was money.
Like I said,
you look at it, do they need to share it physically for it to be shared? What if the things that needed to go around already went round before today?
That is why
your vote buying in quotes now, I mean, I can buy your vote by campaigning. I can buy your vote by incentivizing you, monetizing it. But again, this is what we're saying. The conscience of the people, the conscience of Nigerians now has grown. So the awareness is more that, look, let's do conscientious voting rather than property material thing. Okay. So do the voting for your leader the right way.
Aliu,
having said that,
I'm really the one who agrees with you, but of course, Daniel.
No. What I'm saying is,
and I want Daniel.
What I'm saying is that statistically we may not be able to measure, but as we go on,
of course, data would fail us. At the time. But Daniel, I need you to land on your point, particularly because you brought on the economic point of view, the current economic situation, and how we cannot dissociate it from the fact that money would still be heavily involved. Maybe not just in this election, equally in the next election we're preparing for.
The election is also called.
Absolutely, and so on and so forth. So,
my position is that arresting people is not a yardstick to determine if vote buying is being curbed or not. The fact remains that how many of these persons have been persecuted for engaging in vote buying in the previous election.
Take 2023 election.
You will not see any poor or individual or the person that is carrying this bag of cash in isolation. They are not operating in isolation. There are people, men, who are behind these persons, who are engaging. And many of these persons have been persecuted. The EFCC arrested them, the ICP arrested them, ICPC arrested them, the police did the same thing, but how many was prosecuted? That is what we serve as deterrent to others. But this is the reality. If people were prosecuted as expected in the 2023 general election, you will not still see some group of persons bring bag of money, bail of money to the campaign ground. So the reality still remains. But the election ground. Now, this is another aspect that the hardship, I said it earlier on, that our political class, they have so much weaponized poverty. The current hardship in the country, you will see with this issue, you will see a lot of people still asking for these things. Yes. Asking for the fund, asking that, okay, that you mentioned, and that's the reality. And we are not saying that Nigeria is not. We are not saying that security operatives are not working.
This one now, this current Edo election.
We are not saying that security operatives are not working to tackle it. We are not saying that they are not taking measures to tackle it. But the reality is, are these measures complete? Are you doing the right thing?
And are they actually achieving the goals?
Are you achieving the goals?
To achieve which is curbing vote buying very quickly. And I think this is equally important as we move on from the vote buying conversation. Okay. And it's that yesterday was work-free, was declared a holiday in Edo State just so people could prepare themselves ahead of today's elections. Guess what? Markets it was reported that the markets had influx of a lot of people trying to purchase enough for their families just to stay able to feed and fend for themselves. Interestingly, early this morning, market women equally went to really big markets in Edo State to open their stalls and sell their goods, stating that they needed to make their daily 2K. This also lends to the argument that people just want to survive, and be able to take care of themselves in the current economic situation. Now, very interestingly, and I know this has been put out a lot, but of course, I had to look at Edo State election for quite a few years back, the 2012 election and so on and so forth. And then you look at how Edo State practically has sort of had two major political parties in elections. But for the first time, this seems a three-horse race. And I need us to quickly jump on this and critically look at the emergence of the Labour Party particularly. Because it wasn't until the general elections last year when the Labour Party led in the state at the general, elections, when people began to look at, Edo State that would be as a state open to more parties. Do not forget that it was ACN, if I'm right, that used to be in charge of the state before the PDP now rose, right, in prominence. But today, we have a situation whereby from the ACN that formed into the APC, PDP has been in power 8 years, no, 4 years that would be, because the first term of Obaseki was under the APC. And now we equally have a huge contention, from the Labour Party. What do you make of the emergence of, new political parties gaining ground and, for me, helping us concretize our democracy?
Yeah, I think, yes, what happened, of course, what the situation we have on ground now is that the Labour Party has been able to gain a ground up to a certain extent with the obedient movement. It's a movement because there was an agitation to change from the narrative that led to the Labour Party having Peter Obi or adopting Peter Obi in 2022 and then subsequent for the election 2023. But of course, these dynamics and these things that have happened has also given rise to that effect in states like we have now in Edo. So I think these the candidates of Olumide Akpata is also having to gain weight from that movement, and that is also giving additional prospect to his candidacy. But let's not forget also that he also was the former president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Of course, there's this kind of influence within the political space and popularity. Yes, within the political space. So this would also work out for him to be able to merge as a force. I don't want to say yes
in this election.
Yeah.
Is it just a force, or does it stand a great chance? Talking of Olumide Akpata.
It's a force. But having said that, the more the merrier. Absolutely. We need more of them like that. I always tell people, we have capable hands in this country to deal with our case. It's just that sometimes when these hands get theirs, there are other hands holding their hands.
Okay, now let's talk about the hands. I'm loving the analysis of the hands. And in my head, what seemed to come to play with the mention of hand is godfatherism. I do not know how to dissociate Edo's election, the entire campaign process, from godfatherism. Now, when Obaseki won in 2020, recall that part of the wins, the major rhetoric of the win, was that Edo State was being rid of godfatherism, and that the people could choose for themselves. And in spite of the fact that Oshiomhole was, of course, the person who said, "This is my beloved son," the previous election that brought about Obaseki, now is no longer pleased in him, and he still won. So we're saying we are now having what we thought was a win somewhat rescinded, in the fact that there was an anointing of a candidate in the PDP of Ighodalo by of course, the sitting governor of the state. Is it an impossible task for a lot of, as we say it in journalism, we say we are wearing, what's our lens? That we are dissociated from the news. Can they not just recommend and hands off the enforcement of candidacy? Reason being?
In politics, there is no way you can do without Godfather. You learn. You are learning from somebody. So as you're learning along the line, there are people above you, there are people below you. Everybody, we work pari passu.
But do we not have enough troubles with godfatherism to actually learn or evolve a better
It's when your godfather becomes a thorn in the flesh of the system that Look
Is
at
that not almost
what is
the
happening.
case?
Look at
River State.
So what's happening? How would he's becoming loyal? Disloyalty. That's what happens when you see disloyalty and loyalty at par. You don't have crisis.
But who
if you are
loses? Who
loyal,
loses? The people
no.
or the politicians?
See, godfatherism is exciting. It's so good. If your godfather is like your mentor, so he mentors you, he teaches you. See, he has been there, he has seen everything, and he's saying, come and go through this way. Now, in the process of picking, you look at all your disciples and say, oh, who's going to do the best work here?
And when you do pick, Aliyu,
yes.
do you not permit? Do you not
So,
allow your
that is-
son, in whom you are so well
Please,
pleased,
so-
to perform? Because I believe you have so much
So why,
confidence.
even
in that son.
at performance, you can also make mistake, because in this game of rulership, you have a lot of people jostling for your yes and no. They are just working for you and working against you. So somebody who has the experience can also be at the back and say, no, don't hit it like this, hit it this way. Don't do like this, do like this.
You said at the back.
At the
but
back.
We don't seem to have godfathers at the back in Nigeria. Let me quickly bring Daniel onto the conversation.
Far from just godfatherism, we have now the political shareholders who, of course, believe that they have a share in whatever.
Politics and the politics.
Yes, and the politicking aspect of our governance. And the problem we have is that our system have given room for that, and that has continued to thrive. But again, like you said, the godfatherism thing is a problem, has become a thorn in the flesh of most. If you look at what has happened in the past within the political space of Nigerian system, and you will see that they have always been an issue. If you go to Oyo State, remember the days of the so-called godfathers.
Godfather of, let me remember his name.
And
Series of them. Adedibu, yes. You remember, I bring so thing to me and all that. So this has been the problem. But if we are not careful, okay, what we have seen recently is a kind of a shift. Now, those who become the godsons, at a point when they see that the godfathers become torn on their flesh, they begin to shift and say, no, this, we saw that of Obaseki, we saw that of Fubara and River State. So, of course, so mentorship in every aspect of life is needed. But don't be a mentor that will become a problem to the mentee.
I do not think Aliyu agrees that the mentors we have yet are a sort of problem to their mentees.
What I see also over-ambition among those who have been mentored. That's what's happening, though the guy was over-ambition. He thought, is he not playing Godfather with his PDP people now?
That's what I'm saying.
So what it was this fight, Abinishio was trying to be disloyal or is loyal.
But do we
you see that he's also greedy. It's the same thing.
To a point where we now later rescind and then say, oh, I apologize. And I'm quoting Oshiomhole now, stating to the people of Edo State 4 years ago, now he apologized for selling to them a bad product.
Even he himself.
How do you come to a point where you are upturning your own word?
That is politics for you.
But the people are there as
politics for you. You can see how Trump is turning it in and out. Even in the US, that is even more advanced than we are. It's politics for you. We get to say the word that hits your ears, that gets your attention to us, to we, the machinery that runs this government. So if it's happening and you don't understand it, you fall prey, you'll be disgraced. But having said that, godfatherism is good if it's done well, if it's not choky. Now, in some cases, you would have seen, look at the Saraki, Lawal, those days, you see loyalty, you see how government was run. Despite that fact, now, if you now use your godfatherism to subvert the people, that's where I have issues.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ali. I think on that we shall leave the godfatherism part of the conversation, essentially because right now voters are out in their numbers, and it's pretty interesting because we have a situation where over 80% of voting cards were collected by the registered voters in Edo election. A state of over 4 million population, with close to 3 million, way close to 3 million of the population actually being registered voters, and way over 2 million equally haven't gone for their PVCs. I seem pretty much, intrigued, right, by this voter participation of the people of Edo State. Maybe not so surprising to a lot of people because of the kind of people, the culture, how really present the people of Edo State could be in their daily runnings and their affairs. However, it's equally important to then look at what the determinant of success would be. For someone like me, I'd look through the campaigns, I'd look through the manifestos, and a lot of people are even asking in a lot of quarters. We don't seem to see enough in manifestos. The campaign, to a great degree, was said to be marred in a lot of personal vendettas and whatnot, which essentially should be far from what we have. 25 years of democracy. Didn't we grow at all? The teething state should be over. What is your estimation of the entire campaign season of each of these candidates? And I mean, for you, what do you think would then be a huge determinant of success? Starting with you, Daniel.
Yeah, first I want to say that from what we have, if you study the kind of political landscape of Edo people, very well, you understand that there are people that are politically conscious. Absolutely. I spent some years in Edo. I know that a lot of persons really have interest in governance. They want to know how things are done, what is going on within governance. Maybe because of the cultural structure. The cultural structure gives a sense of leadership to people that want to see the reasons of governance. So one thing I believe that would be a pointer to success here is for the people who want to really see that, yes, we need a governor, but this is the kind of governor that we need. People who want to look at, okay, what are the prerequisites of that this person should meet, and that they are looking at, okay, this is just. I believe that there will be people that will think beyond just the political party or individual, but the fact that they want to be guided by what structure that they should have for their governance in the state.
Okay, so Ali, did you see issue-based arguments, debates, conversations in the election, I mean the campaigns and the processes leading to today's
As much as I didn't follow the campaign very well, but most of the things we're hearing are this banter about family, about who was married, who was not married, who has kids, who doesn't have kids, and so on. Those are the things that were coming to the forefront. But again, I'm saying, no, we need to improve this. We need to look at, sometimes you look at these two parties, you ask yourself, what's the difference?
Speaking of which parties now?
Yeah, the APC and the PDP. What is the difference? What is making you a superstar when you get to the ball? Having said that, let's say that Obaseki has done well with the industrialization of the state. He's trying to open up the industry for business. I think I like that.
And I heard him say Edo State is number 6 on the GDP rating of the nation.
That's where each state should be running to, trying to grow your state, not allow your citizens or your residents to move to Lagos like it used to be before. Everybody wants to crowd Lagos. So grow your state. Let people come to your state and do business of your state. If you get to China, Gandu, Wanzhou, and so on, each of those promises are doing well on their own.
Now, good, better, best. Let me take this from you. Good, better, best. Daniel, good, better, best. I feel like singing that nursery rhyme.
I shall never rest until my good is better, my better best.
Okay, so this is not to place anybody above anybody, but interestingly, it is a competition. An election is a competition. And at the end of today, if not tomorrow, we should know who's got the seat after Obaseki. So, your projection. I'm starting with you, Ali.
The 2.2 million people
Who
voters.
do you think of these three
The
people?
2.2 million people in Edo will choose who they want. If you ask me, I'm not involved.
If you're looking at having
I said this morning.
Around
I said this morning that I still prefer the PDP to win that state. That's my personal opinion. Now, but having said that, with a lot of other things I've heard again, I think it's going to be hard for them to win that election.
Because this time around, Oshiomhole is a sitting senator.
You're using...
and we need to... And I'm bringing that in because in the last election that his party lost, it didn't have any portfolio.
And you go back and say, if you...
So I am looking at, when they say power of incumbency, it might not be the president of the APC, nor the, what's it called, a sitting governor, but I think it's a lot more power to Oshiomhole.
It's not about Oshiomhole from the stories I've heard. Hold on. Now, why am I saying that? Is that there's a lot of allegation even in the PDP that the PDP guys are now shifting ground back to the APC. So those tough guys in the PDP are the ones who really backed this governor to be the current governor. So they are the ones now decamping. Yeah, they are the ones decamping back to the APC. So if they are doing that, your strong guys are moving. So those strong guys are the ones that can do the nitty-gritty for this election. So if they are leaving that party, then that party becomes king. So that's what I'm saying. That's where I'm looking at it from when I changed my mind. But I would have preferred the PDP to win.
Now, I think this is what is now bringing us to the reality of the fact of vote buying. And I just want to quickly digress a bit to that. If you say these tough guys are moving, shifting grounds at the tail end of the what will happen?
People are bought at all levels in politics.
Now,
this is
the reality. You see, the fact, looking at power of incumbency beyond Oshiomhole, the reality remains that the president will be looking ahead for another year.
Ooh,
that's winning the state, winning that state is a priority for the president.
As much as
it's so the president, the persons who are in the PDP in the cabinet of the president, including Oshiomhole, that is sitting senator, they are all bringing full force.
Haven't said that. So, there was full force in Lagos in the last election. No. And the Labour Party won Lagos. So
if you understand the readings of political science,
Labour Party winning Lagos is a different conversation here.
If Obasaki had done his bidding,
there were indices that contributed.
I don't know. If I use the word,
there was an arrangement and indices on that.
No, is it the word aristocrat? The way Obasaki is running the state is not like a politician.
Like an aristocrat.
So you see, he's doing it like
I think it's also
good for the state.
Saying that far back when who was the governor, before he became the governor, they held a meeting back in Lagos of which Ighodalo was a part of the 12-man committee, if I could use community now, who came together as sons of Edo State, who said, see, things could be better. I'm sure you've seen the interview. Things could be better, this, yada, yada, yada. And I said to myself when he said that, is that why people think, yes, according to him now, is already given the state, well, way over 200,000 jobs.
So industrialization is happening in that state.
Right?
Yes.
Of course, we still need to now data base these things, fact check a lot of things. Subject it to actual data analysis.
Yeah.
Let's go and research. Let's be sure.
Yeah.
But according to what we have coming from him of these are the claims. But when we take it beyond all of this, and I know I interestingly want to talk about more of the Oshiomholes, the PDPs, what went wrong and what didn't go right and what's going on. And I've still asked a question that has not yet left this table. If we were going good, better, best, who would you pick as a possible winner of this election? Who would you pick, Aliyu, as a possible winner of this election?
I'll pick the PDP.
The PDP?
Well, of course, I'll go in the same line because, of course, for me, I have the reason why I'm going with the PDP. And that's just my opinion anyway, not an organization.
Okay, excellently. Yeah. Now, very quickly, I need us to talk about what we've seen today before we make a wrap.
Okay.
So we've had a situation where voters are so dedicated out there in spite of the late commencement of voting in a lot of local government areas, wards and what's not. And you have even a lot of older citizens. And I think that's a key talking point in this election. I watched on television, live correspondents speaking to a number of the electorates and stating, I'm 76-year-old, I am 80-something-year-old, and I'm like, goodness me, what's going on? I know that you say that I know people are politically active, but I think there's another level of political activeness. And
election is a festival. Election is a festival. It's what people want to do. Naturally, we want to choose our leaders. We want to. We're excited. We are always excited to do that. But you see, the system, the poverty, the hunger, the weaponization of poverty, according to you, is what makes people not to want to turn out en masse. You see voters apathy because of economic situation. Now, but I'm enlightened. I'm happy that those people could be out in a mass, even in the rain, trying to choose. It's fantastic. See, we need to get the system right. If we get the system right, it can be far better than this. Because you said the state has about 4-point-something million population, and only 2.2 voters are going to cast this election. We can get more people to vote.
The interesting part of what I've seen today so far was the young man who's a person with disability actually moving about and looking exactly where his voting station, his polling unit would be, and that really touched me to my heart.
You know, if you remember when we talk about the LP emergence 2022 OB movement and all that. So, see, the situation they have now in Edo State is that there is an agitation everywhere across the country. There is hardship, and people want to have a kind of experience a change. You understand?
The kind of hardship we didn't have in
yeah. So election. Now that is the situation. I believe that Edo people are, that they said, okay, we want to do this. We want to do this. There's this agitation to want to change a kind of the government and all that.
Hoping
something different will come in. So that is
now conclusively, gentlemen, it would have done a great and a huge disservice if we didn't talk to the INEC's preparation and delivery of this election, and that's where we'll be saying our goodbyes. Let me have what your estimation of it has been.
Nigerians are fantastic people. Even in the 60s, people were voting en masse. But you see, during the military era, you have this gap. Then later
back to
on,
democracy, back again,
so,
and then back.
But what will really help the country is if INEC itself can get its act right. We are moving.
What did you see they did wrong in this election?
This election is a delay. Materials were delayed. Arrival of materials, there's an issue with that. Then payment of ad hoc staff, people have issues with that. Let people see you honest in all your dealing.
Transparently dealing.
Let them see you honest.
Thank you, Ali.
It's always difficult to achieve 100% in every activities of human endeavors. You can never say you want to achieve 100%. But I would go with all the governorship candidates. They all voted. 3 of them voted, and from what's I think I'm saying the 3 major political. Of course, there are other political parties, and they all voted. And from their remarks, they said they are okay. None of them gave any complaint about INEC. So for me, I think INEC has done well up to this extent. We don't know what will happen in the next few hours.
As the PDP candidate complained
about insecurity. Talk about security.
Delayed
arrival of material. Of course, we can't rule out. Yes, of course. We know what is going on.
You know why I think we can rule it out? Why is INEC